Hello, and welcome to Clemson Memorial Stadium, otherwise known as Death Valley, home of the Clemson football team, and ranked in 2017 by StadiumJourney.com as the #1 college stadium experience in the nation. Today, you'll be getting a tour of the stadium and all the behind the scenes to give you the ultimate Clemson football experience. We will be entering the stadium at Gate 12. This leads us to the home tunnel. As we walk into the tunnel, you'll notice along the walls and the ceilings the main slogans and sayings for our team. Those are all in and best is the standard. All in means showing up for your teammates, coaches, fans, and yourself. Best is the standard is a way of life for the Clemson football program. The Tigers seek to never play down to an opponent or strive just to win a game. Instead, they want to set the standard of being the best they can be. As the creator of these two slogans says, Coach Dabo Swinney, we want to be the best that Clemson can be. At the end of the home tunnel, we have the Marion Reeves recruiting room. This used to be used as a weight room when the team used the stadium as daily space. The space is now used for the recruits and their families to hang out on game days. It opens up to the seats for them to watch the game as well. Now the team operates out of the Marion Reeves Football Complex located next to the new softball stadium. This facility is 142,500 square feet and includes locker rooms, coaches' offices, meeting rooms, hydrotherapy pools, the Clemson Applied Science Lab, recovery and nap rooms, dining, a player's lounge, a barbershop, and so much more. To get closer to the field, if you look up, you'll notice the flags hanging from the ceiling are all the ACC championships that Clemson has won. The history of Clemson football did not start on the field in front of you. Our very first home football game was on Bowman Field, named in honor of Clemson's first sports team coach, R.T.V. Bowman, in 1898. At that time, it was mainly used as a parade ground for the cadets. Today, our students use the field for studying, tanning, and playing recreational sports. This field is also used during Clemson's homecoming festivities. The second home of our football program and Clemson's original football field was Riggs Field. This is currently the soccer field. Named in honor of Clemson's first football coach, Dr. Walter M. Riggs, he became Clemson's first football coach in 1896. Our Tigers played there from 1914 to 1941. During its 27 years at Riggs Field, Clemson football maintained a 57 to 16 to 6 record. The decision to build a memorial stadium started after the finest season in school history with a 6-3 Cotton Bowl win against heavily favored Boston College in 1939. At that period, Enoch Walter Sykes was Clemson's sixth president and first proposed the stadium at the board meeting on March 22, 1940, which was accepted 8 months later. The first game in Memorial Stadium was played on September 19, 1942, with the stadium only rising 46 rows above the playing surface. In the stadium, yet without water or electricity, Clemson football inaugurated it with a 32-13 win over Presbyterian College. On this day, the tradition of running down the hill was born, since players used the hill as a shortcut to enter the stadium after dressing at the old Fike Fieldhouse. Memorial Stadium received its name to honor the Clemson alumni who have made the supreme sacrifice in the service of their country, and particularly dedicated to the men who were lost in World War II. The stadium is also referred to as Death Valley. Memorial Stadium was first called Death Valley in the 1940s by Presbyterian coach Lonnie McMillan. From 1944 to 1951, McMillan and the Presbyterian team lost to the Tigers 8 times in a row to start the season. They scored only 13 combined points in that stretch. McMillan compared the season-opening losses played in the South Carolina September heat to California's geological Death Valley. Memorial Stadium's current capacity is 81,500, but it has seated crowds as large as 86,092, which is precisely our record attendance in 1999 against Florida State. It is the 15th largest stadium in the NCAA and the 18th largest in the country, according to the World Atlas. As you look around the stadium, you'll notice that Memorial Stadium has 4 shades of gray concrete. These are all evidence of the expansion, that the stadium started with 20,000 seats. The first big expansion happened in 1958 after Clemson earned 5 top 20 rankings in the post-war and joined the Atlantic Coast Conference in 1953 as an original member. As the student body grew, and as demand grew, 18,000 seats were added to the initial bowl. In 1960, 5,658 West End Zone seats were added. In 1972, the cedar wood seating was replaced with aluminum. An upper deck was added to the south side of the stadium in 1978, followed by a mirror deck on the north side in 1983. This pushed capacity to more than 80,000, making our stadium one of the largest on-campus stadiums in the United States. In 2009, after 5 years of construction, the first phase of the West End Zone was completed. This added luxury boxes and club seating, as well as new locker rooms for the football team. The second phase began in 2011 and featured the Oculus, the main entrance to the West End Zone, and the expansion of the North Concourse. With the recent national championships and playoff appearances, a lot will be changed about the stadium. There are plans for a new scoreboard to be built, which will make it one of the largest in the country and the largest in South Carolina. A new sound system, LED lighting around the stadium, new premium seating, and improvements to ADA accessibility are also included in the $70 million renovation budget. We are aware that these changes are highly due to our historical field success conquered by our great athletes and coaches that played in Memorial Stadium. Entering 2021, the Tigers have totaled 322 wins in 79 years, and we have won 75% of the games at Memorial Stadium. In our playing surface, named in honor of Frank Howard in 1974, which the athletic grounds department very well maintains, several prominent NFL players have defended our Clemson Tigers, such as William the Fridge Perry, Brian Dawkins, Levon Kirkland, DeAndre Hopkins, Charlie Waters, and Banks McFadden. Finally, it is important to mention that throughout history, Death Valley has been used for many other reasons. The Carolina Panthers used our stadium in 1995 during their first NFL season. Several worldwide concerts took place in our field, such as the Rolling Stones in 1989, Pink Floyd in 1994, and Elton John and Billy Joel in 1995. All our remarkable history also had several low points that no longer represent the university or the spirit of students. For several decades, Clemson University members that attended our football games did not treat equally the black minorities that visited Memorial Stadium. One of the most famous segregation episodes in our stadium happened in the year Clemson University was officially desegregated by Harvey Gantt in 1963. Darrell Hill, the first African American to play in the ACC for the University of Maryland, came to Death Valley to play against the Tigers. 2 years before, in 1961, both South Carolina and Clemson had made it clear that if Maryland brought a black player into their stadiums, they would refuse to play. When Hill gave his mother tickets for the Clemson game, he had told her that if his father couldn't leave his business that day, then under no circumstances was she to travel from Washington to South Carolina by herself. However, her mother came to our stadium, and despite having a ticket, she was refused entry to the stands at the gate, and not even the police helped her. Frustrated and angry, Hill started to return to the locker room to change so that he could escort his mother out of there. Just then, a well-dressed white man showed up. Introducing himself as the president of Clemson University, Robert C. Edwards invited Miss Hill to watch the game with him and his family in the president's box. Hill told his teammates he would lit them up and set a Maryland record at that game. It is said that during the game, our president had used the sound system of our stadium to ask fans not to disrespect Hill when he was involved in the plays and that it was time to show the true Clemson's hospitality. Our football program would only accept the first African American player in 1970. Marion Reeves was the first African American student athlete to play for Clemson. He played for the university until 1973. Reeves was from Irmo, South Carolina.
When asked about how he felt about being the first African-American football player at Clemson, he stated that he just came to get a good education and play some good football. Nowadays, Clemson University has striven to achieve racial equality on and off the field. In the 2000s, Clemson Athletics is supporting the Woodland Cemetery Preservation Project led by Dr. Rhondda Thommas's team, which aims to piece together the identities of the enslaved and convicted African American laborers who built this school and before that, the plantation on which it sits, and that is graved in the cemetery. Our Clemson Stadium is built in a land originally populated by a Cherokee settlement named Seneca. A traveler named William Bartram recorded in 1775 that the settlement extended up into the hills on either side of the Seneca River. Also, the stadium was built near the Clergy Hall, which still serves as the interior for the Fort Hill Mansion today. The adjacent area of the stadium was used as a plantation under John C. Calhoun, working on the Fort Hill plantation. Dates show that the earliest burial in the cemetery happened in 1837 and that there potentially sharecroppers, convict workers, and other laborers who worked on this land may have been buried in the cemetery. As a result of a collective effort made by the Woodland Cemetery Preservation Project, which involved GPR analysis, it was found 667 anomalies that showed disturbances in the soil that is believed to be associated with burials. The presence of a series of field stones on the south slope of the hill is currently the only archaeological verification of these findings. Nowadays, visitors can see individual flags of unmarked graves at the cemetery area near the stadium. It is essential to mention that each flag represents an unmarked grave that was recently discovered.
This is the locker room used by the Clemson football team during game days. It was updated in 2017, adding top-of-the-line services for the team, including special air circulation systems that keep the room smelling nice at all times. The locker room was specially decorated with several mottos as requested of our coach Dabo Swinney. It serves to remind the players before the game why they play for Clemson. In every individual locker, players are reminded of a list of 16 powerful messages that encapsulates what Clemson football program expects from our student athletes. Our locker room also displays part of our football heritage to remind current players about the impact of former players in our program and how dedication pays off and the importance of our rivalry games against South Carolina, which has become a true hallmark event. CJ Spiller has his own display area within the locker room. In 2010, the number 28 was retired at Clemson in Spiller's honor since he had such a positive impact on the Clemson football program. CJ Spiller played for Clemson in 2006 to 2009 and was an All-American and ACC Player of the Year. He was drafted by the Buffalo Bills 9th overall in the 2010 NFL Draft. He's now the running backs coach here at Clemson. Located within the west end zone of the football stadium, we have the Neary Family Student Athlete Enrichment Center. This is where academic coordinators tutor and help student athletes develop and reach their personal, academic, and professional potential.
This is a replica of Howard's Rock and a statue of Frank Howard. We are going to talk about their history and importance for our university and football program at the end of our tour. The Oculus was completed by the start of the 2011 season. It is a great viewing area for the Tiger Walk. We can also see the practice facility across the way from here. Recruits are often brought up here to get the full view of what their future could look like at Clemson, participating in the Tiger Walk. Recruits can also see and experience what it's like to be around Clemson tailgating and all of our special traditions. As our fans know, tailgating is a huge part of football culture, but you have to get here early if you want a spot. It's a sea of orange with grills lit, drinks full, and plenty of fans mingling. According to Mr. Alan Price Wood, who holds the Clemson medallion and is a self-declared long-life Tigers fan, our tailgating's best feature is our hospitality to everyone no matter their affiliations. But he also mentions that we have been one of the most enthusiastic and loud fan bases in football college for generations. He shared that in several games, QBs from other teams couldn't call their plays at our stadium, and the NCAA was forced to create a rule that could penalize teams with loud fan bases that did not allow opponent players to hear the signals of a play. Here we treat donors and sponsors with a premium Clemson football experience, as well as during private events, since this space can also be rented out. Our guests enjoy catering services throughout the game, have access to private bathrooms, and can retreat to the club lounge when necessary. They also have at their disposal the patron locker rooms, where they can stock their choice of products for the season. Guests have access to the club 2 hours prior to the game and 1 hour after the game. This is our recently renovated IPTE building, which houses one of the nation's most successful athletic fundraising organizations. Donors provide millions of dollars in scholarships for student athletes. They help student athletes be top competitors both on the field and in the classroom. Being a part of this organization comes with lots of perks such as special seating at games, early access to tickets, and unique merch only for IPTE members. We also have our Ring of Honor. This is an award for our student athletes, highlighting their success in having outstanding achievements both on the field and in the classroom. The Ring of Honor is the highest honor a Clemson student athlete can receive. A recipient must first be a member of the Clemson Hall of Fame, earn at least an undergraduate degree, and make a significant contribution to Tiger athletics heritage. The creation of the Ring of Honor is very remarkable because here at Clemson, we emphasize the importance of being successful as both a student and an athlete. The next time I'll wear orange sign comes from the superstition of fans that believed when fans did not wear orange to games, the Tigers would lose. Throughout our stadium, we are proud to display memories of our most memorable games. If you look up all these pictures, our moments are captured for all the national championship games that Clemson has won. Every Friday, you will see students, staff, and alumni wearing orange to show unity and pride for the school. We call this the Solid Orange Friday. The Solid Orange motto comes from the 1979 football season when Danny Ford was our head coach. The Tigers had lost 5 games and only had won 5, and the fans were becoming restless. Number 14, South Carolina, was coming to town to play the Tigers, and that is when Ford thought it would be the perfect time to bring out the orange pants. So, for that game, the players surprised the fans in South Carolina by wearing all orange for the game. The Tigers did win that game, and then winning that game helped lead them to winning the 1981 national championship.
Clemson was an all-male military institution, and in 1917, the entire senior class sent President Woodrow Wilson a telegram volunteering its services to the United States World War I effort. During World War II, Clemson supplied more Army officers than any institution other than West Point and Texas A&M. There were more than 6,000 Clemson cadets and graduates in World War II. 90% of these men were officers commissioned as a result of their ROTC training at Clemson. By 1943, nearly all of Clemson's juniors and seniors were mobilized. Out of those men, 376 gave their lives to our country. Among those brave men, it was quarterback Aubrey who won the Cotton Bowl in 1939 and died in Belgium in 1944. Clemson remained a military institution until 1955. As you all know, every season we have our very special game to pay tribute to our military. This is our Military Appreciation Game Day. On this day, players and coaches often wear purple. It is common also on that day we pay tribute to all the fallen soldiers, veterans, and active duty military members on the field during halftime.
Ever since it opened in 1942, the players used the hill as a shortcut to enter Clemson Memorial Stadium after dressing at the old Fike Fieldhouse. The area would acquire a noble meaning in 1985 due to the creation of the most famous quote about Tiger football in history, the most exciting 25 seconds in college football. The tradition of running down the hill and the appeal that influenced the creation of our most famous quote about Tiger football was an idea from former Clemson academic All-American Ben Anderson. Anderson came to Clemson as a student in 1969 and walked on the football team. He impressed the coaches immediately and started all the freshman games in 1969. A defensive back by trade, Anderson started all 33 games in his Clemson career as one of the few walk-ons in Clemson football history to start every game in his career. He was a three-time first-team academic All-ACC selection and was a second-team academic All-American in 1971. He and Don Kelly both made academic All-American that year, the only season before 1999 that Clemson had two academic All-Americans on the same team. At that time, Clemson had not run down the hill since 1969. Prior to his final game as a senior in 1972, Anderson led a group of seniors to Coach Hootie Ingram's office the week of the South Carolina game, the final game of Anderson's career, and shared his plans. Ingram liked the idea and then worked with Anderson on the plan to bring the team around the stadium on buses to the top of the hill just before kickoff. Prior to the 1970 season, Clemson's locker room moved from Fike Fieldhouse to the west end zone of the stadium, so there was no longer a need to run down the hill to get to the field. When Clemson had run down the hill from 1942 to 69, it was not quite as celebrated because the team did that entrance for pregame warm-ups over an hour prior to the game. The pregame tradition did not occur just minutes before kickoff until that 1972 South Carolina game that Clemson won 7-6, and that important aspect of the tradition was Anderson's idea. Howard's Rock is named after Frank Howard, our head coach from 1940 to 1969. He led our program to 6 bowl games, and he is a member of the College Football Hall of Fame. The history behind this famous rock dates back to 1966, when 1919 Clemson alumni Samuel Columbus Jones picked up 2 rocks as he drove through Death Valley in California in the mid-1960s. Jones brought back the rocks as a gift for Frank Howard. Coach Howard says in his 1990 book, Howard, the Clemson Legend, that he didn't know what to do with it and that rock sat around his office at Fike for about 3 years. Eventually he got tired of looking at it, and he told Gene Williman, who was the executive secretary of IPTE from 1950 to 1977, to take the rock out there and throw it over in the valley. In 1966, Williman came up with the idea of putting it on a pedestal at the top of the hill where Clemson players run into the stadium before every game. The rock made its debut at the top of the hill on September 24, 1966. The Tigers played Virginia in the season opener that afternoon. They trailed the Cavaliers by 18 points, 35-17, late in the third quarter. But behind the arm of Jimmy Addison, our QB on that day, the legend of Howard's Rock was born. The Tigers rallied in what was at that time the largest come-from-behind victory by a Clemson team in Memorial Stadium history. It is always good to remember that in the 2020 season, we made our greatest comeback ever at home when we rallied from 18 points down to defeat Boston College 34-28, a day that a running back, Travis Etienne, became the ACC's all-time career rushing leader. It was only in the following season when the Tigers hosted Wake Forest in the season opener on September 23, 1967, the legend of Howard's Rock and its mystical powers was born. Coach Howard said, "Before the game, I told the players that all of you who were going to give me 110%, when you get in the valley today, you can rub my rock. It will give you good luck. Any of you who does not give me 110%, keep your filthy hands off my rock. Don't touch it." Behind the stadium is the Scroll of Honor, which was officially opened in 2010 as a permanent site to honor the Clemson students and alumni killed in combat serving the United States of America. The creation of the Scroll of Honor was an idea of one of the members of the Clemson Corps who suggested that the university should identify Clemson alumni who had died in service to their country. Thank you for watching the virtual tour of Clemson's Memorial Stadium. Please take the time to fill out the survey attached to this video to help us improve this experience. We look forward to seeing you in person next football season. Thank you.